Hi, you can call me Shane, and my first day working on a cruise ship was rough. My company arranged travel for me, so I had a layover. I get really plane sick. I've thrown up in 8 states and Washington, D.C., so I knew that I didn't want to eat lunch. My flight ended up being delayed. I was supposed to land around 4-ish, I think, and I didn't get there until closer to 7. By the time I got to the boat, I hadn't eaten in almost 12 hours, and I had missed dinner. One of the other deckhands on shift, Adam, ended up being my roommate, and he showed me to my room, and then told me that the first mate wanted to talk to me up in the pilot house. Yes, if I had my uniform, and then told me that we were getting underway at 9:30. He kind of scared me my first couple days. He was physically large and intimidating. There was also something about the way he spoke. It was just abrupt. Since I hadn't eaten, he told Adam to sneak into the galley and steal a plate because they were having a passenger meal to bring down to me. After I ate, I wanted to make sure I was ready for the next morning, so I got my uniform all put together. We had belts like these, and you can see it has been trimmed. They come way longer, and everyone needs to cut it down to their own size. And I hadn't trimmed mine. I didn't have anything to cut it with, so I figured I'd find some scissors, but I didn't know where anything was on the boat, so I went up to the pilot house. This is when I met my captain for the first time. The captain went through the drawers in the pilot house and found a pair of scissors, and he wanted to test if they were strong enough to cut through a belt. When they're closed, you still have a little bit of waist piece right here. At least it's a good idea to keep some, just in case you gain weight. He trimmed a piece off of his own, and the navigation mate, or nav mate for short, who was up there with him, asked, "Are you sure you can afford to lose any off of that?" I trimmed my belt and went to return the scissors, and the captain told me that we were getting underway soon. So I went downstairs and put my uniform on for the first time, and I felt super cool, like I was a part of the team. I helped pull some of the lines in, and then watched, and they explained to me how everything worked. After we undocked, since I wasn't on shift, I went down into my room. We were in what I called it the zero deck, some people call it below deck, or in the hull. Basically, it's under first deck and below the water line. First time when I had went down there, we were docked, and this time, since we were underway, there was all the engine noise, and it was a lot louder than I was expecting. Still, it was really dark, so I fell asleep really easily. I woke up for breakfast at 6:30, where I was then told that my shift didn't start until noon. I would have liked to know that earlier so that I didn't have to wake up as early, but I was able to go back to sleep. I met the rest of the deckhands, and we got to know each other, and they explained to me what a typical day would look like and what the expectations were. Since the night before had been so busy, I was finally given a tour of the ship. Before my shift started, I learned how to do security rounds, where we would go around the entire boat and check the machinery spaces and make sure nothing was on fire, important things like that. Then we had every single delivery possible. We had produce, seafood, meat came separately, we had dry goods, liquor order, everything pretty much came at the same time. So I spent about 2 hours moving boxes from where they were delivered into the storage areas. Pretty much as soon as that finished, trash pickup was ready. On the boat, we stored our trash in a freezer that was also in the zero deck, so we had to take everything up the stairs, down the hallway, throw it onto the dock. The freezer is supposed to keep it from smelling that bad, and then also if anything's liquid, it'll freeze it so it doesn't leak everywhere. This was July. It was at least 90 degrees out, so pretty much as soon as it came out of the freezer, it was just melting and dripping everywhere. Once all of that was finally done, the day slowed down a little bit. I did some more security rounds and then stood gangway watch, where we would make sure that the people coming on the boat were actually our passengers, not letting strangers on board, answering any questions about when tours were leaving, things like that. But if there were no passengers around, there was a lot of time to think, and I spent most of that time thinking, what am I doing? I was really worried I'd made a huge mistake, and then finally my shift ended at midnight, and then Trevor told me that a lot of crew likes to hang out in the dining room at night. I got a bowl of plain chocolate ice cream, and it was incredible. That was probably one of the only things keeping me from having a nervous breakdown. That and meeting the stewards. They were all really nice and made me feel a lot better about the experience. Some of them told me that it had been a really hard adjustment and to just give it at least 2 weeks to see how I liked it. I followed their advice and ended up falling in love with my job. Even though my mate scared me my first couple of days, after time went on I realized he was actually cool and just had high expectations. My first impression wasn't necessarily true. Except for the captain. He was hilarious. So that's how my first day went working on a cruise ship. Thanks for watching.